And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Insight on Business. My name is Michael Libby. It's all powered by our advertising agency, Insight Advertising, Marketing and Communications, brought to us by our good friends at Fwirsa. Fwirsa, tax and accounting professionals that'll work hard for your business until the cows come home. And also Bike World, the store that supports the sport in Ames, West Des Moines, and in Urbandale. Bike World. By the way, Bike World, have you caught on Iowa Public Television Bike People? Forrest, and it's a great show. If you're into bicycling and you like Iowa, check it out. It is on Iowa Public Television. It's called Bike People from Bike World. With us on the telephone from Houston is our guest, Karen McCulloch. Karen is a former retail magnate who threw away the clothes to be, that sounds awfully inviting, who threw away the clothes to become a nationally recognized speaker and author. Tell us a little bit about this book program, Karen.
Okay. When I first started speaking, I decided my very first program would be called The Seven Women, and it was a runway show, and it was about fashion, because that was really how I started, speaking on fashion. And so I did a runway show, very funny, comical, but teaching women how to dress these 7 different personalities inside of you. So I came up with 7 women and how to dress them. Well, it was fine, but fashion shows, and that's not really speaking, and I looked at financially, is this going to take me where I want to go? And I realized that there was really very little growth in speaking on clothing, right? Mm-hmm. So my daughter she had just graduated from from Notre Dame. Yay. Graduated from Notre Dame, and she was out there working, and she said, why don't we work on this book together? She told me I should write a book, and we'll take your 7 women concept, but let's talk about the strengths that women have, and let's help women kind of navigate through the work world and their play world, and we'll teach them how to dress, but we'll also really tap into their talents and their skills. And so it became really a mother-daughter project. What I found halfway through my writing was she was better at it. She was wittier, and she really had a broader audience because she's a Gen X, Gen Y, kind of on the cusp. So I let her write the book. I wrote the first chapter, and then she wrote the rest of it. And we wrote it, and we published it in 2010, and I just got asked. I'm speaking at the Women in Energy Conference in Pittsburgh on the 7 women. So I do about 30% of my business is to women's conferences with this book, and it's amazing. It still has legs, so we're going to revise it this year.
Well, yeah, and it's like you too, Karen. I mean, it's fun.
It's a lot of fun.
It's a fun read.
What I did was I took all the things I speak on, and they became a woman. So one of the women is on trends, and staying young, and it's really all about the generations of staying young. And one woman is on tooting your horn, and it's all about branding. So I really got to incorporate what I love, what I speak on, into these women.
Sure. Now, one of the things that really caught us, and because we utilize a lot of video and people are watching this, and it is live while we do this, not only because we shoot and produce and direct and write video pieces, but we see so many customers or so many clients or potential clients or businesses attempting to use video, and they do a pretty lousy job. Nothing is more boring than watching somebody for 4 or 5 minutes talk about how wonderful their store is. And you have caught on with something that we thought was absolutely dynamic. You use a lot of edits, a lot of things are going on here. And I want to show the video that we were talking about now. We also blogged about it last week. For businesses who are attempting to take a look at how they should present themselves, and if this brand fits your brand, what a great way to connect with customers and or clients. So Ryan, if we could go ahead and push up the video from Karen. I think you'll enjoy this, kids.
What's wrong with this? Come on. Doesn't technology drive you crazy sometimes? Yeah, I'm always complaining about technology. I complain to a Gen Y. I have to tell you the story. I work a lot with a Gen Y, Crystal Washington. Some of you have already met Crystal. And we started doing these programs on social tunities, teaching people about how to use social networks in your business. And we had to use a lot of technology. And I would get really, really nervous. Like, is the technology gonna work? I would get to the event early. We would try it 45 times. And she would say, just calm down. If it doesn't work, we'll try something else. And so, back in the day when we were doing it in front of people, I did calm down until we did the webinars. And I was back in my office and she was in her office and I was all alone. There was no Crystal there. And I would worry, like, is this gonna work? Is my mic working? And finally she said to me, here's the deal, Karen, with technology. Sometimes it's gonna fail. Sometimes you're gonna totally blow an entire webinar. But people are understanding. We know that we're trying new things and some work and sometimes they just don't. No. And sometimes you just have to reboot. And just hearing that from her, hearing from a Gen Y, that sometimes technology doesn't work, relaxed me. It made me excited to try new things, right? Yeah. And to be open to a little bit of failure. Because here's the deal. If you don't fail, you don't learn. And if you don't fail, you're not trying. So a little failure at times means you're trying harder, you're trying new things, and you're going to use more technology. Thanks, everybody. I'm Karen McCullough. Text me.
Nicely played, Karen. Nicely played. So, what I wanted, there's a couple of moving parts here that I wanted to talk about. And I think that this is a stellar example. First of all, the video is short, which is fun. It'll retain some interest. Besides, you've got lots of moving parts. How long did it take you to figure out that adding great edits and all kinds of sounds and doing different things with a green screen would work well?
Well, I study it. And I see really bad video out there. I see people with a little camera in their office and, it's kind of going up their nose. You're looking at I see bad video. And I decided that if I was going to do this, I was going to do it right, and we wanted to make it funny. The first few that we did were more because in the beginning I said, well, let's put up my PowerPoint. I have a Mac. Let's put up some of my slides behind me. And I work with my videographer. I put all of my money into him.
Sure.
So, I do a lot of things myself now so I can afford him. He's fabulous. And he's also from the East Coast. He's a little funny. He's funky, and he's younger than I am. So there's a whole thing going on there where when I said make it funnier, he really went creative, and he started adding sounds. At one point, I remember saying, there was one video where I said, to be happy when you walk into a room, say hello. And I think that he played hello, that music from, I can't think of the guy's name. And I got so many laughs from that little hello that he put in there that I realized that sounds, door slamming, creaks, make it funnier. And we just want to get your attention. I'm learning to put emotion into it. I was mad in that one. I try to make a connection with an emotion. So I really think about how am I going to capture that viewer for a minute and a half to 2 minutes. Yeah,
and the other thing that I think is, so you've used sound, you've used the green screen,
yes.
You have all kinds of fly-ins. You relate to, in that particular video, across the board relative to age groups, which I think is very smart. And then I think you did something else that was on purpose. You incorporated a lesson at the end. And that lesson was about failure. If you're not failing, it means that you're not trying, which comes right out of your speeches.
Yes, I do that. They're called Lessons from the Road. I won't tell you the companies, but I have 3 companies right now that use my Lessons from the Road to open their staff meetings.
Really?
People want to laugh, and there's a little lesson there too. But it's working.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about this.
Well, we are too. And when we conclude our broadcast today, you and I are going to have a conversation.
Okay.
Okay. Karen McCullough, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Oh, by the way, you're going to be up here in Des Moines, I understand. What's going on? What's going on?
I'm doing a speaker showcase for Midwest Speakers Bureau on the 20th, on Tuesday the 20th, at the Iowa Event Center.
Yay. And we love that. Now, tell us about marketing yourself through a speakers bureau.
Bureaus?
Yeah. Or more importantly, who goes to these showcases, these speaker showcases?
people who have to put on meetings, people who now we're event planners, but a lot of times it's just people in a company or an organization that want to put on a conference, and they really want to bring in a speaker that's good enough. You know, you can really make mistakes with speakers. You know, you go, ooh, who brought that speaker in? So you want to hear them and get a sampling. And so this gives people an opportunity to hear. Angela is going to have, I think, 10 speakers that day, coming from all over the country to speak. So
so these are truncated speeches, or the whole thing?
We get 15 minutes.
Okay, right.
Do your best.
Very nice. Well, Karen, I look forward to seeing you when you come up to the great city of Des Moines here in Iowa, and we'll visit by phone a little bit later on today, and also in person. What's the date again on that?
I'll be up there the 19th, 20th. We'll talk later.
All right. So if you are an event planner, ladies and gentlemen, and you have any desire to learn more about this, how can they find out information about if there are event planners in this part of the country? Can they just go or what?
He does a 5-state radius right around there, Minneapolis, all the way over to the Dakotas. It's Speaker Now. SpeakerNow.com.
Okay. SpeakerNow.com.
You'll find out.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you, Karen, for joining us today. We really do appreciate it.
You've got a wonderful voice.
Oh. Yeah, and a face for radio. Well, we'll put up the video of this so that you can actually see what we were talking about in a little bit. So.
Yes, and I will send it to all my people.
Very good. We appreciate it. Thanks so very much. Karen McCullough, ladies and gentlemen. Karen McCullough is from Houston, Texas. She is an accomplished speaker who brought herself from retail to speaking to Fortune 500 companies and has got the edge when it comes to creating great video to promote herself. Something that you should take away from this is how can you upgrade your video presentations by doing it professionally? If you don't know how, I got some people that might be able to help you. This is Insight on Business, the News Hour. When we come back, we're going to be talking about underfunded branding. Iowa Methodist Health Centers came out with a new name, but did they have enough money to change their signs? We'll talk about that. Also, the most sexist television commercials we've seen, old and new. Those stories and more when we come back. This is Insight on Business, the News Hour. Back right after this.